we're just going over the cage, all the welds, we're deburring everything. We're going around with a little chisel and a screwdriver, popping off all the little berries around some of the welds, hitting it with like a little flap disc on an angle grinder to really clean it up. If there's anything we can't get off with like a little slag hammer or like a chisel. And then we're gonna take the flap disc up to the very top of the cage and do the welds on the very top of some of the tubing. We're just gonna make sure they're all nice and smooth. There's no like humps that eventually could chafe through or be wearing directly on like a soft top or like a bikini top or anything. So we're not gonna like grind the welds down significantly to weaken them or anything, but if there's any that are significantly humped up, we're gonna kind of smooth them over and stuff just to address that. And then it's ready for paint. So let's get on to that. So we've been deburring some of the welds, popping off some of the berries, some of the splatter that was around some of them. We did have the option of putting the little suicide bar in here, the little handle that comes out from this tubing in the center. And we thought about moving it over here to the passenger side for the passengers to hold on to, since the driver has the steering wheel to hold on to. But the CJs have this bar right here stock. So what we did was we just chopped off this side where it used to bolt up right here, and we actually welded it to the side of this bracket right here, which came out nicely. Retained the stock position, has that nice stock look still. And so we're gonna paint all this when we paint the rest of the cage, but I thought that was a little nicer, and so we're gonna not install the bar that came with the kit. And we popped the seats back in here, and we got to playing around with these handles that go up here. And I think in their instructions they say that they had moved these handles to the inside to go to this gusset up in here, this little cross piece, just to move them inside. And we were noticing that every time you climb into the seat, everybody wants to instinctually grab right here, and this is a little too far in, and we could move it out. And so we were playing with a bunch of positions in here, and we thought that maybe going like this route would be blocking too much view through the windshield. But we noticed that every time you'd climb into the seat, your head comes right into this area. And so we just decided that it was going to be a headbanger. And so we're choosing not to install them. Down the road, if we want to, and we always have these and we can put them in later, but we're not going to install these now, because I think it's just every time somebody for mock-up was climbing in here and we were watching, their head goes right here every time, and I just think it's going to be a headbanger. So we're not going to install those right now. I thought this came out really good. This was a good idea to do this. Just fit that onto here, and then so this was the bar right here that came with the kit. That in their instructions it shows goes in the middle right here. So, and we had played with putting it over here, but we're not going to do that since we have this one. We just reinstalled the stock one. I think that looks a little nicer, keeping it a little cleaner. So we're going to finish deburn some of the berries off some of these welds, some of the spatter that's around some of them, and then we're going to get on to painting it. We're pretty much done. This was an extra option that came with this cage. Some of them don't have this. I think this might be a little newer option, so we've installed those on both sides. You can see there's still a little notch in that one, and there's one on the inside of this one, because they do have a kit that comes with a bunch of crossbars for here behind the seats, and we didn't get any of those. We didn't want to install that. We still have the back seat, and we have passengers coming in and out, so we didn't want those crossbars. And same with the back here. You can see the little notch in that one over there, and there's one, where is it, right here too. So I'm gonna actually weld those up and then grind them down so you don't see them. So we're gonna do all that right now. So we got the seatbelt bungs welded in on both sides. We cleaned up the back side here. So we plug welded the back here where it goes through. It was just inside the tubing. So we plug welded it, filled it, and then ground it down nice and smooth so you won't see it once it's painted. So we are done. Everything is in, cleaned up, ready for paint. Now we do have quite a bit of extra stuff here that we didn't use. We didn't use the handles. We didn't want the grab bar in the front. We have some extra gussets. And then these almost look like shock mounts or shock towers. I think they're light mounts to go maybe on a top tubing. And then you mount your light to this. They do have a significant notch in here, so I'm not sure if that lines up with something else. And we could not figure out what these are for. We were thinking maybe it's some type of seat or seat belt adjustment bracket. And we have 4 extra seat belt bungs here that we could weld in somewhere, and a ton of extra hardware. And these countersunk bolts that, again, we have no idea what the countersunk bolts were for because there was nothing that came in the kit that was countersunk. And again, there's no key or list or anything that identifies what any of the stuff is and where any of it goes. We're basically just going off their pictures and some of the stuff from their website. So if anybody else out there watching knows, comment below if you know what some of these are, especially these brackets here. I would love to know what these are for. And I'm guessing those are light mounts. But yeah, please comment below if you know. So yeah, now we're just gonna clean the thing up and paint it. We'll probably roll it outside to do that. And we're just gonna wipe it down with some degreaser and some soap and water and do it all by hand with it in the Jeep. Try not to make a mess, and then we're gonna mask off the Jeep and everything, drop cloth it, and then we're just gonna rattle can it. Primer and spray paint. No powder coat.